is doing some kind of substitution to eliminate a variable. In this first thing, we replaced the one that we did last time right at the end, replaced y with 3x and y with 3x. The reason is, remember, you have an equation that has two variables, and it turns into one that has one variable that you can solve, right? If it has two variables, you can't figure out what one of the numbers is because there's an infinite number of things it could be. This one already had it set up where one of the equations you're given was y equals 3x. So 1y is equal to 3x. It's just like, the concrete example would be 1 loonie is worth the same as 4 25-cent pieces, right? When you're a little kid, that's a hard concept to get, right? I don't know if you remember being a little kid and someone saying, you see one of these coins, it's worth the same as 4 of those, and you're not quite sure why that works when you're a little kid. This is a little more sophisticated, but people kind of have the same problem here. They say, why is one of these the same as, you mean I can just change them? I can just replace them? I can change a y into this? Most people are okay with that one, but the second one here, I think, is one where people are not okay with. One of these isn't given y equals or x equals, so you have to change it. This one's the easier one to isolate because it has the y all by itself. If you isolate this, so your first step is isolate one of the variables in one equation, right? Okay, isolate x or y in, and now we're not responding. Isolate x or y in one equation. So that's what most of you did here, right? You took 2x plus y equals 8 and you made it something like y equals 8 minus 2x, or negative 2x plus 8, right? Now you can use that to replace something in the other one. 8 minus 2x equal to y. If I write the other equation now, so I'm going to write the other one, okay, then sub into other equation. So you isolate one of the variables in one equation, then sub it into the other equation. That's the strategy here. I'm going to first write the other equation just so we can see what our substitution looks like. Okay, over here we have that y is equal to 8 minus 2x. So in this one, I'm going to take this y here and replace it. Not tack something onto the end of it, but out and out replace it here. So I'm going to leave a space because this thing is bigger. There's more terms to this. And you need brackets here. Why do you need brackets here? Why do you need brackets around that when you make that change? I'm highlighting what got changed, right? You replaced that. The y is equal to 8 minus 2x, so you can just replace it, right? Just like you can replace 1 loonie with 4 quarters. They're the same value, right? This says they're equal, so you can make that change. What we were talking about last time, I don't know why we were referring to grade 8s, but can't solve that because it has 2 variables, but now you can because it has 1 variable. As soon as you substitute, you get rid of a variable, and then you can solve it, right? Now, something might go wrong in the solving process if you forget to, look at signs and stuff, but you have minus 16 plus 4x. So you end up with 7x minus 16 is 12. 7x is 28. Or if you divide, x is 4. Once you get one of the variables, okay, your last step here is go back and find the other variable. Okay, now use this value to find the other variable. Okay, I'm out of room. Hopefully you still have some room on there if you are rating it. You can go to either equation, whatever one you think is easier. You can go to either one of these, or even this rearranged one. Probably safest to go back to one of the original ones, but I'm going to go to the second one because it's less involved. You don't have to multiply the y. 2x plus y is 8. 2x plus y equals 8. I'm going to replace the x with 4 and then work it out, right? So this is going to tell you that's going to tell you what y is here. We got 8 plus y equals 8. What does y have to be? 8 plus y is 8. Has to be 0, right? Subtract 8 from both sides. What's our solution here in the end then? Solution. You can write it as an ordered pair, Or you can write it x equals y equals if you want. X equals 4, y equals 0. Or you can write it as a pair, 4, comma 0 if you want. Some of you, when you were doing this, you were checking your answers. You could check it in the other equation that you didn't use down here, right? If you know, a quick way to check is if this is the equation you use to generate the second value, check it in the other equation to make sure it works to see if you didn't do anything wrong. Like check it in that one, right? If you're going to check 3x minus 2y is 12, so just put this in here, right? Check if you want. 3 times 4 minus 2 times 0, that is 12, right? 12 is 12. And then it works over here, right? Do we have any questions about this? Yes, no, maybe? I put quite a few questions in here and called it the your turn, right? There's a bunch. The first your turn here is where you don't have to isolate a variable because it's already isolated. The first one's kind of silly because it's giving you one of the values. You just have to go back and find one of the other values. The second one's more like the first example here where it's already isolated. Y is 5x. Third one here, y is isolated. Here, x is isolated. It doesn't matter which one's isolated. The second your turn is where you have to isolate something. You can decide. There's a lot of choices for how you could do this one. There's no one way, right? You might decide to move this x over and make it y equals 5 minus x. Or, just to be different, somebody might decide to move the y over. Okay, doesn't matter. You decide what you want to do as long as you isolate one of them first. Okay, so steps again. Isolate one of the variables, sub that into the other equation, find the first variable, use that to find the second variable. Okay, by the time you get to here, I think if you, this is not that many questions, but pick and choose here if you want to make sure you understand, right? Not just to get it done. I did put something here optional, which is just extending the concept a little. This system has, it says what's different about these systems, or this system, I guess I should have said. Well, obviously it has 3 variables instead of 2, but it's 3 equations instead of 2. You can try and work with that if you want, but it's totally optional. All right.